Hey guys, the Bunny Dude here again. Now it turns out that the PlayStation 4 will be reserving 3.5 gigs of its 8 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory for the operating system, leaving it with 4.5 gigs of space for, stuff like game coding and textures and whatnot. Now this has been basically shown by documentation of the PlayStation 4 by DigitalFoundry, a well-placed development source. However, further sources suggest that an additional 1 gig of flexible memory may be reclaimed for the operating system reservation based on availability. According to Eurogamer, the PlayStation 4 dev kits also have a game memory budget mode and a debug settings which features two options, normal and large. Now the normal mode confirms the 4.5 gigs of RAM that's able to be used by game developers for game applications. Now the large mode increases this considerably to about 5.25 gigs, but the docs are clear that the extra RAM is only here to be available for application development and presumably to be in order for house debugging data. Now from what we understand, the extra gig of flexible memory appears to be in addition with these allowances. Now as it currently stands, both next generation consoles will be launching with 8 gigs of RAM, no matter whether it's DDR3 or GDDR5. It's still a large amount of memory allocation. Now it has been significantly diminished because Sony's operating system is going to be taking about 3.5 gigs of that RAM into the operating system allocation, but Microsoft has 1 gig each for their 3 operating systems and their triple boot for their Xbox One, which will be taking up about 3 gigs of RAM, giving the PlayStation 4 4.5 and giving the Xbox One a decent 5 gigs of RAM, which does lower the playing field. However, sources close to Sony suggest that the PlayStation 4's approach may perhaps be more flexible in the current allocation terms between both CPU cores and memory, which could reduce the operating system is complete and in a streamlined short, but is not guaranteed to change the future, although Sony has left the door open to opportunities with R&D team, which has experienced in reducing the operating system footprint, just as it did on the PlayStation 3. Great, now that I've read the article and I've given you all of the news and whatnot, I'm gonna generally give my feedback on this. Now, I don't believe that this is true. Now, I'm not believing it's true because it's Sony and the PlayStation 4. I'm not a PlayStation 4 fanboy. If there's something wrong with PlayStation, I will hate on it just as much as the next console. I don't take any specific bias towards any of them, but I mean, this seems kind of odd, doesn't it? Because the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One are getting ready to come out, so there's going to be a lot of rumors circulating the consoles. And generically, these rumors are going to be good. They're going to surround the good, the bad, and the insanely ugly. So, generically, I'd like to say that this is just more of a false rumor, to say anything to more or less. Not just because, fake information does come out right around this time, the time from E3 to the console's release. But I'm saying generically that most modern operating systems these days do not take up more than, let's say, 2 gigs of RAM. Like, generically, most operating systems do not take up that much RAM. And the PlayStation 4 actually shouldn't be any different. The PlayStation 4 should at least take up, I'd like to say, just under that 2 gigs. It should probably take up like 1.5 gigs of RAM. And I'm just putting it at a standpoint of modern operating systems. So, like with the Xbox One, the reason it's taking up 3 gigs of RAM is because it's running off a triple boot setup. So there's going to be 3 operating systems connected to the Xbox One with 1 gig of RAM each. 1 gig for this specific operation. I can't remember what task the Xbox One's operating system is supposed to be doing for each operating system, for them to have 3 operating systems in the Xbox One. I'm not sure what the Xbox One's operating systems are necessarily doing, but they have 3 of them and they're each taking up 1 gig each. Now, whether or not this rumor turns out to be true or not, I swear a while back, wasn't it Mark Cherney who actually confirmed that the PlayStation 4 was going to be using 1 gig of operating system allocation from the rest of the RAM, giving it 7 gigs of total memory. So that's another reason why I'm still dictating this as a complete, if not total, rumor. So I'll have a link to what Mark Cherney said in the description below. It's probably going to be linked to a YouTube video because I think that was during a conference. But even if it is, even if this rumor is actually true and it's going to be put at 3.5 gigs of RAM, allocation for the operating system, you got to keep in mind that R&D can still reduce the memory footprint that is available for the operating system, the 3.5 gigs. So that can still be reduced by R&D, and if you don't know what the memory footprint is, it is basically the main memory that the program uses for references and generally while it's just being idle and whatnot. Like with the PlayStation 4, the origin amount of RAM that it had in the past was about 4 gigs of RAM. Now, the operating system took up about 512 megabits of RAM, although that was in 2010. Now, bringing it all the way out to 2011, or was it 2012, Sony actually found a way to reduce the operating system's memory footprint all the way down to about 70 megabits of RAM, and that is a large difference. So maybe Sony's goal is actually 1 gig of RAM, and currently it's allocating 3.5 megabits of RAM. I don't know. But this is a rumor, but I wouldn't entirely trust it. I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. Wait for Sony to have given a response to what the console's memory allocation actually is, even though I can almost guarantee, if not promise to you, that Mark Cherney already told us that it's going to be taking up 1 gig of RAM for memory allocation. Although, rumors will be rumors. Alright guys, this is Bunny Dude. If you guys thought this video was informative or helpful to you guys in any way, shape, or form, it'd be much appreciated if you guys smack that like button. And if you guys want to see more next generation news about the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, be sure to subscribe. Alright guys, this is Bunny Dude. Peace.